Guys, what I have to tell you today could forever change our understanding of humanity's place in the universe. Last night, I received classified information from NASA's Deep Space Network team that prompted me to call an emergency meeting with SpaceX's senior leadership. 3A Atlas is not just an interstellar object. It carries a structured signal. And that signal is meant for us. Hello everyone. This is Elon Musk, and today I must share information that may be the most important in the history of human civilization. What we have discovered in the radio signals from 3A Atlas forces us to reconsider not only our understanding of interstellar objects, but also whether we are alone in the universe. Yesterday, at 2:37 a.m. Moscow time, SETI radio telescopes detected something that changed everything. The signal at a frequency of 1.426 GHz is the same frequency we use to communicate with deep space. But the important thing is not the frequency, but the structure of the signal. It is not the chaotic noise characteristic of natural radio sources. It is an organized sequence of pulses with mathematical regularity. Prime numbers: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. Then a pause. And again, the same sequence. Prime numbers are the universal language of mathematics. Any intelligent civilization in the universe should know them. It's the first thing we would use to demonstrate intelligence when contacting extraterrestrial minds. And now someone is using them to communicate with us. Dr. Seth Shostak of the SETI Institute, whom I contacted immediately after receiving this data, was stunned. "Elon," he said, "in 30 years at SETI, I've never seen anything like this. This cannot be a coincidence. The probability of such a signal occurring naturally is less than 1 in a billion. But that's just the beginning. After the sequence of prime numbers, the second part of the signal begins. It's more complex. It looks like coordinates in three-dimensional space. Our cryptographers have been working on decrypting it for 18 hours straight. Preliminary results point to a star system in the Cygnus constellation, 27 light-years away from us. Do you understand what this means? 3A Atlas may be a messenger from a civilization located only 27 light-years from Earth. By cosmic standards, they are our closest neighbors, and they have sent us a probe. I immediately called an emergency meeting with the SpaceX team. We must be prepared for any developments. If this is indeed an attempt at contact, humanity must respond. And we must be prepared for the consequences of that response. SpaceX chief engineer Tom Mueller analyzed the radio signals from a technical standpoint. The transmitter power required to send such a signal from a distance of several astronomical units is about 10 megawatts. That's more than the power of a large power plant. For a natural object the size of 3A Atlas, such power is unattainable. Only an artificial energy source, a thermonuclear reactor, an antimatter engine, or something even more advanced, could provide it. But the most intriguing thing is the timing of the signals. Radio messages are transmitted exactly every 73 hours, synchronized with the object's trajectory corrections. This is no coincidence. Someone or something inside 3A Atlas is coordinating navigation maneuvers with communication attempts. Professor Avi Loeb of Harvard, whom I consulted on this matter, stated bluntly, "Elon, the body of evidence speaks for itself. We are dealing with a technological artifact from an extraterrestrial civilization. The question is not whether this is an artificial object. The question is what its intentions are. And this is where it gets really important. Last night, I got a call from the White House. The president wants to know if SpaceX is ready for an emergency mission to intercept the Tri-Eye Atlas. Not to destroy it, but to establish direct contact. I said yes. We have a Starship ready to launch within 72 hours. We will equip it with the most advanced communications equipment, scientific instruments, and, yes, I won't hide it, defense systems in case the visitor's intentions turn out to be less than friendly. But I personally believe that we are dealing with a peaceful mission. Think logically. If an advanced civilization wanted to destroy us, why would they warn us of their arrival with radio signals? They could fly in unnoticed and attack without warning. No, this is an attempt at contact. Perhaps the first attempt in human history at peaceful contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. And we must be ready to respond appropriately. Over the past day, I have personally contacted the heads of all the major space agencies in the world. NASA, Roscosmos, ESA, even the Chinese Space Agency have agreed to unprecedented cooperation. We are creating a joint group to coordinate the first contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. This is no longer a matter of nationality or corporate competition. This concerns all of humanity. And we must act as a single species when encountering representatives of another intelligent species. Dr. Jill Tarter, a pioneer of the SETI program and one of the leading experts in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has joined our team as a consultant. Her words at our meeting yesterday were prophetic. Elon, we've been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Now it's here, and we can't afford to get it wrong. But let's talk about what this signal means from a scientific point of view. Analysis reveals not only the mathematical structure, but also physical characteristics that tell us about the sender's technology. The signal is circularly polarized, indicating the use of advanced antenna technology. The frequency stability is 1 part in 10 to the 12th power, the accuracy of an atomic clock. Such stability is unattainable without a deep understanding of quantum mechanics. The signal strength is also modulated depending on the distance to Earth, compensating for attenuation during propagation in space. The senders know our location and the characteristics of our radio equipment precisely. They studied us before sending the message. This indicates a high level of technological development of the sending civilization. On the Kardashev scale, it is at least a Type 1 civilization, capable of controlling the energy resources of an entire planet. Perhaps even Type 2, if they are truly capable of interstellar travel. But there is an even more intriguing aspect. The signal encodes not only the coordinates of the presumed parent system, but also elements that our linguists interpret as grammatical structures, possible elements of language. Dr. Noam Chomsky of MIT, whom we enlisted to analyze the signal, believes that we may be dealing with an attempt to teach us the basics of a universal language. It's like how we teach children to speak, he said. First simple concepts, then more complex structures. If so, then Tri-Atlas is not just a probe. It is a teacher, a messenger, sent to prepare us for deeper contact with the galactic community of intelligent civilizations. And here I must share information that until today was strictly classified. 3 days ago, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency shared satellite observation data with us. 3A Atlas is not alone. 500 astronomical units away from us, beyond Pluto's orbit, our deep space telescopes have detected 4 more objects with similar characteristics. They are moving in a strict geometric order, maintaining constant distances from each other. It is a flotilla. A squadron of interstellar ships with 3IATLAS as their scout sent for first contact. The others wait at a safe distance, ready either for peaceful dialogue or to defend their emissary. General Michael Harrison of the U.S. Space Command was blunt in his assessment. Mr. Musk, we are not dealing with a single probe, but with an organized mission of unknown scale. Our task is to ensure the safety of Earth, but also not to miss the greatest opportunity in human history. That is why I have decided to accelerate the preparation of the Starship mission to Tri-IATLAS. But this will not be a typical scientific mission. We will send representatives of humanity for the first official diplomatic contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. The crew will be international. An American astronaut, a Russian cosmonaut, a European communications specialist, a Chinese engineer, and, critically, a linguist and diplomat specially trained in interspecies communication. Dr. Douglas Wacock from the METI Institute, which specializes in composing messages for extraterrestrial civilizations, will lead the communications team. His task is to develop a first contact protocol that will be understandable to representatives of any intelligent civilization. Elon, he told me yesterday, we must think not as earthlings, but as representatives of universal intelligence. Mathematics, physics, and chemistry are our common language. But the most important thing is to demonstrate our peaceful intentions and willingness to cooperate. We will include the Golden Record 2.0 in the mission payload, a digital version of the message that NASA sent with the Voyager spacecraft in the ESC. 1970s. But now it will contain not only information about humanity, but also mathematical proof of our readiness for galactic dialogue. Quantum cryptography, Gödel's theorem, the equations of general relativity, all of which prove our level of scientific development and readiness for equal communication with more advanced civilizations. But we are also preparing for less optimistic scenarios. At Tesla, we are developing autonomous control systems for critical infrastructure in case contact leads to a disruption of electronic systems. An electromagnetic pulse from advanced technologies could cripple our civilization. At SpaceX, we are accelerating preparations for flights to Mars. If something goes wrong with first contact, humanity may need a backup planet. I am not an alarmist, but as an engineer, I am accustomed to preparing for any scenario. At Neuralink, we are exploring the possibility of creating an interface for communicating with non-human intelligence. If representatives of another civilization think fundamentally differently, traditional methods of communication may prove ineffective. Imagine communicating with a collective mind where individuality does not exist. Or with a civilization where thoughts are transmitted directly without the use of sounds or symbols. Direct brain-computer interface technologies could be the key to such communication. But I remain optimistic. The very fact that this civilization uses radio signals to make contact suggests that they understand our level of development and are willing to communicate in a language we can understand. This is a sign of wisdom and patience. Doctor. Carl Sagan, if he were alive, would say, "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." But the evidence is before us. Structured radio signals, navigational maneuvers, physical characteristics incompatible with natural processes. We are on the verge of the greatest event in human history. The first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. And I am proud that SpaceX can play a key role in this historic moment. But the success of the mission depends not only on technology. It depends on humanity's willingness to accept that we are not alone in the universe, that there are civilizations older and wiser than us, and that we have much to learn from them. Some people fear such contact. They believe that an encounter with a more advanced civilization could threaten our independence or even our survival. But I think differently. Any civilization capable of interstellar travel has already solved the problems that plague us today. The energy crisis, climate change, wars, poverty. All of these become irrelevant at a sufficiently high level of technological development. Such a civilization could destroy us without even approaching the solar system. Directed gamma-ray bursts, artificial black holes, relativistic weapons. They have access to energies that we are only beginning to understand theoretically. But instead, they send a probe with mathematical signals. This indicates peaceful intentions and a desire to establish an equal dialogue. We must seize this opportunity. Yesterday, I held a video conference with the leaders of the world's major religions. The Pope, the Dalai Lama, chief rabbis, Islamic theologians, all expressed their support for peaceful contact. If God created the universe, said the Pope, then he created other forms of intelligent life. Our task is to meet them with an open heart. This is important for social stability. First contact could cause panic if people are not prepared for it. Religious leaders play a key role in shaping public opinion. Dr. Michio Kaku, whom I consulted about the physical aspect of contact, offered an interesting thought. Elon, perhaps this contact is not a coincidence. Perhaps there is something like a club of civilizations in the galaxy, and we have only now reached the level of development necessary to join. This would explain the precise timing of the appearance of the three A's ATLAS. Not in the Middle Ages, when we would have interpreted it as a divine sign. Not in the distant future, when we ourselves will be able to travel between the stars. But right now, when we are advanced enough to understand, but still need guidance. We have launched artificial satellites, landed on the moon, and sent probes to other planets. We have decoded the genome, created artificial intelligence, and begun to harness renewable energy. Perhaps these are signs of a mature civilization that our galactic neighbors are monitoring. And now they have decided that the time has come for first contact. This morning, I received another message from the Deep Space Network. The signals from 3AATLAS have changed. Now, in addition to mathematical sequences, something new is being transmitted. Images. Simple geometric shapes at first. A circle, a square, a triangle. Then more complex ones, spirals, fractals, three-dimensional structures. Perhaps this is an attempt to teach us their system of visual representation of information. Our machine learning specialists have uploaded these images into neural networks to search for hidden patterns. Preliminary results point to mathematical constants: the number pi, the golden ratio, constants of physical interactions. They are teaching us the language of the universe. Universal principles that are the same for any intelligent civilization. This is not just an attempt at communication. It is a course in galactic physics and mathematics. Professor Frank Drake, author of the famous Drake equation for estimating the number of communicative civilizations in the galaxy, commented on the situation as follows: "If my calculations are correct, there must be thousands of intelligent civilizations in our galaxy. Perhaps 3i ATLAS is their first official representative. This changes everything. We thought of ourselves as the only intelligent life in the galaxy. It turns out that we may be the youngest members of a huge galactic community. And we are being invited to join. But with privileges come responsibilities. If we become part of a galactic civilization, we will have to abide by its rules. Perhaps we will have to renounce war, environmental pollution, and the exploitation of resources. Perhaps this is the true purpose of first contact. Not just an introduction, but an initiation into a higher level of existence. A transition from a planetary to a cosmic civilization. At the Boring Company, we have already begun preparing underground shelters for critical facilities in case contact leads to social upheaval. Not because of hostility from the aliens, but because some people may not accept the new reality. History shows that any radical change in worldview provokes resistance from part of society. The transition from a geocentric to a heliocentric model of the world led to conflicts that lasted for centuries. What can we say about the transition from an anthropocentric to a cosmocentric worldview? But I believe in the wisdom of humanity. We will adapt. We have always adapted to new realities. And this reality may be the most beautiful in our history. Imagine access to technologies that will solve all our problems. Unlimited energy, medicine capable of defeating any disease, the ability to travel between stars. All this can become available if we prove our readiness for galactic cooperation. This morning, I also received interesting data from our analysis of the object's chemical composition. The spectral lines we observe in the radiation of Tri-A Atlas indicate the presence of elements that do not occur naturally in interstellar space. Technetium is an artificial element with a half-life of about 4 million years. Its presence in an object that has presumably traveled for tens of millions of years is virtually impossible without constant reproduction. This may indicate functioning nuclear reactors inside the probe. Promethium is another artificial element that does not exist in nature. Its discovery finally dispels doubts about the artificial origin of the object. Natural processes cannot create such an amount of promethium. Dr. Maria Skłodowska-Curie, if she were alive, would say that we are witnessing nuclear alchemy on a cosmic scale. A civilization capable of creating and controlling artificial elements on such a scale possesses technologies far superior to ours. Even more intriguing is the discovery of isotopes that should theoretically be stable but do not exist in nature. These are islands of stability for super-heavy elements that our physicists can only dream of. Perhaps representatives of another civilization have already learned how to synthesize them. Professor Yuri Oganessian from the Joint Institute for Nuclear Research, creator of several new super-heavy elements, was amazed. Elon, what you are describing is at the edge of our theoretical understanding. If these data are confirmed, we will have to revise the entire periodic table. This opens up incredible possibilities. Stable super-heavy elements could have properties that revolutionize our technology. Room temperature superconductors, materials with incredible strength, new energy sources. But most importantly, it is proof that we are dealing with a civilization that has mastered nuclear processes at a level unattainable to us. They can literally create new elements at will. In addition, our analysis of the trajectory revealed another anomaly. 3A Atlas does not simply move in a hyperbolic orbit. It adjusts its course in such a way as to maximize the observation time from Earth. Usually, interstellar objects fly through the solar system along the shortest path determined by gravitational forces. But the trajectory of 3I ATLAS is optimized for visual contact with our planet. This cannot be a coincidence. Dr. Alan Stern of the Southwest Research Institute, who led the New Horizons mission to Pluto, commented, "Such a trajectory could only have been calculated with prior knowledge of Earth's orbit and a desire to establish prolonged contact. This clearly indicates intelligent planning. This means that our galactic neighbors were studying our solar system long before the probe arrived. Perhaps they have been watching us for thousands of years, waiting for the right moment to make contact." Last night, I held another emergency meeting with an international group of experts. This time, we were joined not only by scientists and engineers, but also by philosophers, sociologists, psychologists, all those who can help humanity prepare for the greatest change in our history. Dr. Susan Schneider from the University of Pennsylvania, a specialist in the philosophy of consciousness, made an important point. Elon, we must be prepared for the fact that representatives of another civilization may think fundamentally differently. Their logic, their values, their understanding of reality may be radically different from ours. This is a critically important point. We are preparing for contact based on our own ideas about intelligence and logic. But what if their thinking is based on principles that we cannot even imagine? For example, what if they think in four-dimensional space, perceiving time as an additional spatial dimension? Or what if their consciousness is collective, where individuals do not exist as separate entities? Dr. Douglas Hofstadter, author of the famous book Gödel, Escher, Bach, proposed an interesting hypothesis. Perhaps their minds work like quantum computers, processing many versions of reality simultaneously. Communicating with such a civilization would require fundamentally new approaches. That is why we are expanding the Starship crew. In addition to astronauts and engineers, we are adding a philosopher-logician, a specialist in quantum information theory, and even an artist, someone capable of thinking in images and metaphors. Art can become a universal language that any intelligent civilization can understand. Music, painting, sculpture, all of these reflect the deep structures of consciousness that may be common to all forms of intelligent life. Today, I also received preliminary results from the analysis of gravitational anomalies around Tri-I Atlas. the object creates distortions in space-time that do not correspond to its apparent mass. This may indicate the use of exotic forms of matter, dark matter, negative energy, or even matter from parallel dimensions. Technologies that we are only beginning to understand theoretically. Professor Kip Thorne of Caltech, a Nobel laureate and expert on gravitational waves, was intrigued. If your data is correct, Elon, we are observing the application of principles of general relativity that are far beyond our capabilities. Perhaps even the curvature of space-time for navigation purposes. The curvature of space-time is the basis of theoretical warp engines that could enable travel faster than the speed of light. If our observations are confirmed, we will witness the workings of technologies that were once considered science fiction. But it also means that the sending civilization has knowledge of physics that we are only beginning to comprehend. Perhaps they are willing to share this knowledge with us. Last night, I also held a closed meeting with representatives of the world's largest technology corporations. Google, Microsoft, Apple, Samsung. All of them are interested in preparing for a possible technological exchange with an extraterrestrial civilization. The main question is how to preserve humanity's technological independence while gaining access to more advanced technologies. We do not want to become a technologically dependent civilization incapable of independent development. Sundar Pichai from Google proposed creating an international consortium to study and adapt extraterrestrial technologies. Elon, he said, this should belong to all of humanity, not to individual corporations or states. I agreed. The knowledge we can gain from contact with extraterrestrial civilizations is too important to be monopolized. It must serve all of humanity. This morning, I received another message that changes the whole picture. Radio telescopes have detected a response to our own radio signals, which we sent to Tri-Eye Atlas yesterday. The response came 8 hours later, exactly the time it takes for radio waves to reach the object and return. This proves that someone out there is really listening and ready to respond. The structure of the response signal is remarkable. They didn't just repeat our signal, they improved it. They corrected encoding errors, optimized it for better passage through the interplanetary medium, and even added checksums to verify data integrity. Dr. Frank Drake, who sent the famous radio message to the M13 star cluster in the 1970s, was amazed. Elon, they didn't just receive our signal. They demonstrated an understanding of our technology and showed how it could be improved. This is a level of engineering expertise that exceeds our capabilities. But the most surprising thing is that the response signal contains something new. Schematics, technical drawings, descriptions of devices that we cannot yet fully understand, but which are clearly instructions. Our best engineers are working around the clock to decipher these diagrams. Preliminary results point to designs for more efficient engines, improved communication systems, and even principles for creating higher-level artificial intelligence. This is a gift. A technological gift from a more advanced civilization to humanity. A sign of goodwill and a willingness to cooperate. Tom Mueller, our chief engine designer, is already working on a prototype of a new type of rocket engine based on the schematics we received. If our interpretation is correct, the efficiency of such an engine could be 10 times higher than existing ones. But I understand that this is only the beginning. If they are willing to share communication and engine technologies, what else might they offer? Medical technologies capable of defeating cancer and aging. Energy sources that will solve the climate crisis. Computer technologies that will open new horizons for artificial intelligence. The possibilities are endless. But we must prove that we are worthy of such gifts, that we will use them for the good of all humanity, not for war or exploitation. Yesterday, I also received important information from our sociologists and psychologists. Public opinion polls show that most people are ready for the idea of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. 68% of respondents believe that such contact will benefit humanity. This is encouraging. We will not face mass panic or denial. People are ready to accept a new reality and adapt to it. Dr. Sherry Turkle of MIT, an expert on human technology interaction, noted, Elon, the generation that grew up with the internet and social media, is already accustomed to the idea of communicating with non-human intelligence. Artificial intelligence has prepared us for the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. This is an important thought. Our children are growing up in a world where communicating with AI is commonplace. The transition to communicating with extraterrestrial intelligence may not be as traumatic as we feared. This afternoon, I am holding a final meeting with the Starship crew before launch. These will be the most important representatives of humanity since the first diplomatic missions to unknown lands. Commander Jessica Meir has already spent more than 300 days in space and has unique experience working in extreme conditions. Her psychological resilience and leadership skills will be critical to the success of the mission. Pilot Sergey Korsakov is one of Roscosmos' best navigators, capable of performing precise maneuvers in conditions where every second counts. His experience with Russian systems is also important for the international nature of the mission. Communications engineer Lisa Anderson has developed communication protocols for all major interplanetary missions of the last decade. Her understanding of the principles of deep space communications will be essential for establishing stable contact. Science specialist Zhang Wei is an expert in quantum physics and signal processing, capable of analyzing complex data on the fly and making decisions in non-standard situations. And the most important member of the crew is Dr. Maria Gutierrez, a linguist and anthropologist with 20 years of experience in the study of intercultural communication. Her task is to find a common language with representatives of a fundamentally different civilization. They are joined by philosopher Dr. David Chalmers, an expert on consciousness, quantum physicist Dr. Anton Zeilinger, and artist Ai Weiwei, whose work could serve as a bridge between different forms of intelligent life. The crew of 8 is a symbolic number representing infinity in mathematics. They will carry a message from all of humanity to our galactic neighbors. Tomorrow at 1600 Moscow time, a launch will take place that will change history. Starship, with its international crew, will travel to Tri-IATLAS for the first official diplomatic contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. A live broadcast will be available on all SpaceX, NASA, Roscosmos, and other space agency platforms. This will be the most important event in human history, and everyone should have the opportunity to witness it. But the success of the mission depends not only on the courage of the crew and the perfection of technology. It depends on the willingness of all humanity to accept a new reality and act as a single civilization. Tri-Eye Atlas carries a message that we are not alone in the universe, that the galaxy is full of intelligent life, and we are invited to join this great community. Tomorrow, we will take the first step toward our stellar neighbors, a step that will open a new era in human history, an era among the stars. Watch the broadcast. Tomorrow we will all become part of history.